We're talking about the train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio. Absolute brutal story.
Yeah, it's got a lot of moving. It's not even it's just a lot that led up to it that's gonna piss you off.
Well, so we've been talking. It's funny too because we've been talking a lot about the. We were talking a lot about the rail workers union and how they were trying to get a better deal, and a lot of them were warning about this happening because part of what was going on was that these rail companies were doing a lot of cost-cutting programs and also doing stock buyback programs. So they were cutting a lot of staff. That was one of their big plans. And the rail workers were talking about how things like this were going to happen, right? So
Well, I was gonna say, man. Well, they were cutting staff. Maybe that's because their bottom line was hurting, and they needed to save money. Otherwise, they were gonna go under.
right, that was probably it.
Yeah, that's probably it, right?
No, it wasn't it.
Oh, they were making a ton of fucking money, and they
Right.
had so much extra money that they were like, "What should we do with this money?
Stock
I got
buybacks.
it. Let's buy back our own stock to inflate the price."
That's right.
So that the fat cats, the CEO, and everybody else can get their big old compensation bonuses.
So cutting staff, also cutting inspections, cutting requirements for how big of crews they need on all of these long trips with these
Right.
huge trains. And then also refusing to do upgrades. One of the biggest things people are talking about right now is the new technology they had for braking, ECP brakes,
The electronically controlled.
pneumatic
Mhm.
braking systems.
Yeah,
And the braking system they use now are air braking systems.
it was invented in the 1800s. 1800s, and they haven't updated it.
They've been calling them the Civil War era brakes.
Yeah, because you know how they work? It starts at the front of the train and makes its way back. So if you've got a fucking
Right.
mile-long train, that's why when they talk about trains, it needs fucking miles to stop. Yeah, because of these old-ass Robert E. Lee fucking Abraham Lincoln ass brakes. And I was reading that it's likened to a slinky. It stops like a slinky, where it's like the rest of the train like still is coming while the front is braking.
Yeah.
Whereas the ECP thing,
They brake each car,
yes, all at once, just
so they're not going to pile up.
And
if
it's like
there's a derailment.
it's like 40 or 60%
60%
more effective. Sounds like a great idea.
Before we even get into all that, but a train derailed in East Palestine. I don't think they have an official reason why. It was some
Right.
kind of technical reason, either an axle or a wheel bearing overheating.
Well, there was 20 miles, I believe 20 miles before the accident, there was security camera footage of, you can see the train and you see some sparks flying. So presumably one of the axles on one of the cars broke or malfunctioned or whatever. And all it takes is one axle to fail to then, if that car falls, it's a domino effect.
Right. But it was carrying
Water?
no.
Something not harmful.
We wish.
Ugh.
The big one everyone's talking about is a chemical called vinyl chloride.
Yeah.
And then, I'm not going to get any of the names right after that.
No, try.
Isobutylite or,
Yeah, you got it.
did I get it?
Yeah.
Amazing. And they had to do a controlled release of all these gases, and that's when you're seeing these huge flames go up, a mushroom cloud of chemical fire over.
Well, wait. So I feel like we're jumping all over. The train derailed, and then some of these cars that had these very dangerous, toxic, flammable chemicals, there was a risk that they were going to explode.
Right.
So they did what they had to do. Their hand was forced, and they had to do a controlled release, a controlled burn of the chemicals, which then blanketed this entire town in what it's like
Holy shit.
toxic fucking.
Mushroom
Like
cloud.
everybody there is going to hopefully get superpowers and not just warp their DNA.
They'll most likely get cancer. There's a lot of, you're seeing dead pets, dead animals, fish just laying dead in the water.
People reporting headaches and a metal taste in their mouth.
Oh yeah, I think I have some. I want to make sure we read some of these.
There was this guy that they interviewed who was talking about how he and his whole family were experiencing lightheadedness, dizziness. There was like residue in like in the air in their house and all over their just everything. There was this residue, and they had someone come. They cleaned it, but then it's just so prevalent everywhere in the whole town, and yet. Well, so the EPA is there. The EPA is there, and they're constantly testing the water, the air, and they're working hand in hand with Norfolk Southern?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Fuck that.
But
Hey,
there's a lot of confusion. I think people don't know what to do, right? So there was an evacuation order. People are being told it's fine to come back. And in the American Prospect, they have the document that was posted on people's door. They said an ominous FAQ document with no company or government letterhead appeared on the exterior of doors of the residents of East Palestine. The document tells residents not to worry about their air quality or drinking water, and compared the inhalation of the chemicals in the air to breathing in smoke from a wood fire.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Under the "Is my drinking water safe" section, the document states, "It is improbable that substances from the derailment will impact the groundwater or drinking water wells in the area." Meanwhile, according to the EPA, trace amounts of the chemicals aboard the Norfolk Southern train have been identified in the Ohio River and along the creeks sprouting off the river.
Awesome. You know, I'm dumb enough where if it was me and I came back and I saw that thing on my door, I'd go, "Oh, I guess it's all clear now. I'm going to go get a big drink of water and take a shower."
I mean, it's just... And then, so they interviewed we were told on the news the train derailed, it was on fire, but it was controlled. It was not until Sunday night that the authorities reported that some of the boxcars were filled with vinyl chloride. A controlled burn was scheduled for 3:30 p.m. on Monday, supposedly to prevent further explosions of the cars, but it released hydrogen chloride and toxic phosphine gas into the air. Around 6 o'clock, everybody in the Wright home began feeling nauseous. Her 84-year-old grandmother felt strange. Wright's teeth were hurting, along with others in the house, and her father's shortness of breath worsened.
Yeah, so this guy's name is Wright.
Similar symptoms were reported across 5 counties and some places in western Pennsylvania.
Can you imagine your teeth
I know,
hurting?
that was the weirdest one to me. Just you're smelling chemicals and your teeth just start fucking screaming.
Ugh. I got my teeth whitened, or I tried to one time, and as soon as they turned on the light to like do it, my teeth started hurting, and I screamed and was like, "Nope, we're not doing this." I can only imagine, man. Walking around, just teeth hurting, throbbing.
But yeah, so I think this is kind of the general theme. They hold some press conferences for residents. They leave everyone more confused whether or not it's safe to go back.
Yeah, because they don't know.
Right.
But it's pretty obvious that it's probably not safe if you've got the entire town blanketed. There's people who've been sharing photos from Ground Zero, and it looks like it's just a big storm cloud overhead, but it's very much not a storm. It's just the toxic gas cloud overhead.
Yeah.
There's no way in hell that it's fucking safe.
Right. There's things all over social media. There was a woman walking through one of the rivers by her home, and there's dead fish just laying in the water.
One woman had all her chickens died.
Jesus. Yeah. I saw another guy who was, I think he works with foxes, and he's like, they're all just either dying or fucked up.
Yeah. So.
But they're also, so Norfolk Southern also is offering people money to help with relocation services right now if they're not going back to their homes. But one attorney is saying, be careful taking anything from them or submitting any of their forms, because what happens often is they'll go, "Oh, no, you can't sue us now. You accepted, you signed the forms, blah, blah, blah." And they're going, "Oh, we wouldn't do anything like that." But
they did it before.
Yeah. In a similar 2005 incident in Graniteville, South Carolina, 5,400 residents were evacuated from their homes following a Norfolk Southern train crash that resulted in a chlorine spill. Residents who accepted compensation from the company forfeited their rights to any further damages.
Man. Just when you think companies are mostly good.
When they got your back, you know?
You know, Norfolk Southern Railroad Company has got my back. They're transporting all the chemicals that I need and all the products that I love. There's no way that they would...
Vinyl chloride.
Yeah, I love vinyl chloride. Oh, man.